Welcome back to Cinemation. Today I will be discussing Young Ones, an action science fiction film. Beware of spoilers. We see a barren, large land at the beginning of the film. Jerome Home, a young man, tells us that he hasn't seen the land since it was green but that his father has. It was once home to many farmers who used it to grow wheat and other grains. After the drought, however, no plant was able to thrive. The place was abandoned by most of the farmers. Ernest, Jerome's father, hoped that the land would grow back. It just needs water, he believes. In this world, people are willing to kill one another for water. Two muggers attempt to enter a small house. Ernest captures them both and kills one of them. He tries to persuade the second mugger to save his life, but he is killed when he steals a gun. Jerome, his son, insists that he could have assisted him. Ernest tried to use the old water pump in the house that was being broken into by the muggers. It stopped working. The father and son leave no water behind, so they ride a mules to the watermen. Through a government agreement, people who draw water from deep wells. Ernest trades water with these people. Ernest has tried to persuade them for years to give him water to grow a small portion of his land. Ernest can't afford to pay the watermen, so they only provide him with the right amount. Their mule falls and breaks its leg on the way back. Ernest reluctantly shoots down the animal. They return home to Jerome's sister Mary, who serves them bag food. Water scarcity. Mary cleans the dishes with soil. Jerome and Ernest then visit Sam Lever's auction house to find something to replace the mule who died. Sim, a simulate shadow robotic carrier machine, catches their attention. Ernest is victorious against Flem Lever. Ernest and Jerome are unaware that Flem has an affair with Mary. They then travel to Jerome's mother Catherine home, who is ill. She is now able to walk in a local hospital, wired to a special frame. They can't bring her home because the frame is too costly. Jerome spends the day with his mother, while Ernest and Catherine say goodbye to one another on their return. Ernest and Jerome stop by a gas station. After filling up his car with petrol, Ernest takes a big gulp. They meet a couple who have a baby and are desperate for water. Robbie, the father, wants to sell his baby as they can't afford to care for him. Ernest warns against the idea and says he will help them with water. Robbie also knows about Flem's affair with Mary and suggests Ernest to it. Ernest confronts Mary at home about Mary's habit of sneaking out, but she says it is her freedom. She also tells her father she hates him. She attempts to run away, but Ernest locks her up in her bedroom and nails her window shut. Ernest and Jerome awaken one morning to find that the robot Sim was missing from their shed. Someone had taken it. Ernest thinks it is Flem and goes to Jerome's house to find out. Sam tells Ernest that Flem left that morning with a truck for the mountains. Ernest goes to look for Flem and is knocked unconscious by the watermen. It is already night when he regains consciousness. He was accused by the watermen of stealing their supplies. Ernest insists he didn't steal their supplies, but Caleb attacks Ernest. They fight for quite a while, but Ernest manages to get his gun and runs away. He finds Flem, who is lying on the road beside Sim. As he returns home, he is able to clearly see that he stole the machine and waterman supplies. Ernest points his rifle at him and then holds him hostage. To prove his innocence, he wants Flem to go back to the watermen. Flem's comments about Mary are made on their way. After walking for a while, both get thirsty. Flem convinces Ernestly to drink the waterman's supply. They sit down together to have a drink and talk. Flem then attempts to convince her and us that he should be released and they could share the money. Ernest insists on getting him arrested. Ernest is weakening a limb. He is clearly unable to walk another mile to the waterman. Flem is aware of this. Flem knows this. He strikes her in the head with a rock, hitting his head against a cliff. He bleeds uncontrollably to the point that his head is unconscious. Ernest awakens to Flem being tied to his head. Flem pours water in Ernest's mouth, and he screams. Later, we see Flem arrive at Ernest's house on his motorbike to take Mary. Mary happily runs to Flem. Ernest hasn't returned home yet. Jerome sets out to find Ernest. When he arrives at the watermen, he discovers the machine by himself. They inform him about Ernest's death. Everyone believes that the machine caused it. The following scene shows everyone grieving Ernest's passing at his funeral. Catherine and her children later weep at her hospital bed. Flem takes the children out and picks them up in his truck. Flem is now the mentor for the family after Ernest's death. He calms Jerome as he lashes out at him for his father's death. He tells Jerome later that Mary is pregnant and that he loves him. Jerome accepts their union. Flem later that day visits the watermen to discuss sending water to genuine land. Caleb is amused by his idea, but becomes defensive when Flem accuses him of Ernest's death. Caleb is also shown a knife bearing his name by Flem. The knife was found alongside Ernest's body. Fearful of being accused, Caleb agrees that water will be diverted to their field. Flem works tirelessly to grow wheat on the ground. and everyone is happy when the land receives its first water supply. They are now fully grown. A few months later, Flem marries Mary and now lives with Jerome. Mary, Sam, his father, approaches the family, threatening to seize the land due to Ernest's debt. The debt is too high for Flem. He takes the machine and meets Robbie that night. Robbie knows Robbie is planning to sell his child, so he convinces Robbie to go along with him to find out how much a baby could be worth. Robbie discovers that Flem had secretly made a deal to sell his child. Flem shoots Robbie dead after he resists the offer to take the baby. Flem takes the money and starts a fight with the dealers. The robot Sim is damaged and shot. This causes the machine to go into auto mode, and it returns to Calvin Hueman, its manufacturer. Flem then pays the bank using the money he bought the child. Jerome believes that the money was obtained by selling SIM cards, so no one is suspicious. The following scene is an example. The following scene shows Sim limping back to Calvin, who lives over the border. Calvin dials Sim's number and gets to Holmes's residence. Jerome is shocked when Flem tells him that he sold the machine to Robbie. Flem asks Flem whether Robbie sold Sim's components and made it to Robbie. Flem becomes annoyed and dismisses the question. He tells them that he will be meeting his mother in the evening but plans to instead cross the border to meet Calvin, the Sim manufacturer. He eventually reaches the border but is stopped by a guard because he's too young to cross. Anna, a girl by the name of Anna, calls him and informs him that she knows how he can get to the other side. In return for some money, she places him in a car with chickens, and they go over. They meet up again on the other side, in separate. Jerome then visits Calvin. Calvin then shows Jerome all of the functions of his machine. He also demonstrates that the machine's eyes are cameras designed to capture the slopes for reforestation. All that the machine has seen has been captured by the camera. Jerome listens to the recordings and watches Ernest's time. He goes through the recordings. He is shocked to learn that Ernest was killed by Flem. That was the day Flem connected Ernest to the machine once he had regained consciousness and sent it to the watermen. Ernest, who was still alive but in pain, was dragged by the machine to his death. Jerome is seen shedding tears by the end of the video. Flem is not confronted when he returns home. Flem and Jerome go on a hunting trip with deers. Jerome then keeps the rifle, which he hides under his bed, for the future. Flem is surprised when Jerome tells Flem of Robbie calling him. Flem is shocked and accuses Jerome, claiming that he lies because he knows Robbie's already dead. Flem later receives a note from Jerome claiming to be Robbie. Flem is asked to meet Robbie at the exact same location. Ernest has been killed. This leaves him confused, but he decides that he will find out if Robbie is still alive. Later at night, Flem informs Mary, who is pregnant, that he must go out and sell something. Mary wished him luck and asked him to return soon. Flem calls Robbie when he reaches the spot. He falls into a pit as he is walking and breaks both his legs. When Jerome appeared, he lay there calling out for help. Flem breathes a sigh of relief as he sees Jerome and asks for his help. Jerome is standing there holding a rock in one hand. Flem realizes that he is the one who knows everything and he apologizes for it. He pleads with him to spare Mary's life and the child, but Jerome doesn't listen. Flem is shot dead by Jerome as he points his rifle at him. It's been 2 days since that event. Jerome tells Mary to be patient and wait for her husband. He decided to keep Mary secret about the deaths of Ernest and Fleming. Mary suggests that they bring their mother home, as they have the funds to purchase the ringing system she lives in. As Jerome wipes out all video memory from Sim, the movie ends. Subscribe for more videos like these and leave a like.